Welcome to the Regen Community Update Call. There's a few folks will be passing things back and forth. Yeah, lots of exciting news. It's been a really big couple of weeks. We have taken the next step in interchain carbon. There's a bunch of active governance or forum posts about potential governance proposals. There's a governance proposal right now live on chain. There's a huge amount of work being done on multiple different levels between the foundation, R&D Inc., and community members. So we'll do our best to sum that all up. I'm sure, as always, we'll miss a few things. Hopefully some of the people here on the call can fill things in that Dan and I missed as we were prepping, and Will as well, as we were prepping today's slideshow. So with that said, and also, as always, we try to keep ourselves to the impossible bar of getting all the news out in 15 minutes so that we can talk about stuff for another 15 minutes. The last time that happened was never, but we'll keep trying. So, all right. Good to see you, Paul and Will. Good to see you guys. All right, let's go. Let's see what we can do here. Everybody keep it snappy. All right, so Josh, why don't you take this one?
Cool, good timing. Yeah, okay, thank you. Wednesday community calls happening at 5 p.m. UTC. We have essentially a number of land stewards and methodology developers in the room, as well as potential community facilitators and added capacity bubbling up in that room. The topics are governance, community building, and the Discord channel. You can get it on Regen Foundation, but I'm also available on Twitter these days, getting more active in that space. How much should I cover in this, Gregory? Because
that's good. So it's happening every Wednesday, and
yeah,
I imagine you may split out into different working groups as people sort of need. Great. Mm-hmm. So Wednesday in Discord, Josh and the foundation folks are hosting calls to dig into stuff. So I just wanted to give a brief shout out to the Registry and Science team. They've been doing a huge amount of work to migrate the Regen Registry Program into Gitbook. And essentially, this is the next step to creating a modular, community-governed program guide and set of standards for Regen Registry. And so it's super exciting. For folks who aren't familiar with Git technology, it's pretty cool, just as a part of the larger decentralized movement and software engineering and stuff. But having this Git book around the registry is quite exciting. People can go and tour around library.regen.network. I'm sure we'll get the Registry and Science team to do a deeper dive into this at some point, but just so folks know, this is out there and it's moving, and it's going to just be getting updated more and more every week. Okay, so I'm going to pass it over to Will Zoll on the foundation board to talk about this RFP.
Hey everyone. So last year, the foundation launched this program that, while we're in the process of distributing these community staking DAO tokens, that the kind of outstanding tokens should be delegated to validators, and that they should build network security and validator economics. And we ran the first version of that program, delegating 25 million tokens through to its completion. And at this point, we have these 25 million tokens that are staked, and it's time to improve the algorithm that we utilize. And the main there's been a lengthy Discord, a lengthy Commonwealth discussion about this, and that everybody agrees there should be some kind of governance metric that's integrated. So the foundation's putting out an RFP looking for validators that would like to work with us on implementing a program that would upgrade how we manage these assets. So all the details are at the link here and also on Commonwealth. And please make some submissions over the next couple weeks. And the work would be paid for through a delegation from the foundation. And it's up to the people creating submissions to propose what seems like a fair delegation to pay for this work.
Cool. Thanks, Will. All right. So just Dan, want to do a super brief
Yeah, absolutely.
overview of engagement here?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I just wanted to give everybody kind of an overview of our community in general and kind of governance mostly. So we've been doing really good on voting. Our average turnout for this past quarter has been about 70% in voter turnout, which is fantastic. I want to push that just a little bit higher to up above 80%, and which is just like amazing. Like I don't see those kind of numbers in any of the other.
Are you prepared to do something enormously controversial to turn out the vote, Dan?
Of course, always.
This is really the
Yeah, rock the vote. Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, we're already above bar here. So it's really awesome that everybody's like actively voting. What I'd like to see more of really is kind of the governance forum, Commonwealth Discussions. Right now we've got, about 1.25 active addresses, and that's just over a period of 2 weeks, probably a little higher than that. But yeah, like one of the next steps in actually, besides the Discord and going on to chain is you want to get in that governance forum and really like get a soft consensus going there. So it'd be nice if people really started being more active on there. There's just tons of really great discussions like the one Will was just mentioning. So yeah, there's at this point really not that much happening, but as there's more governance proposals coming online, such as upgrades and community spend proposals, credit class creator proposals, there's going to just be a lot more governance activity as it is. So get out there, start commenting, and get your voice heard besides just voting.
Cool. Thanks, Dan. All right. And I think this one's for you, or maybe Ryan. You or Ryan around the docs upgrades and whatnot.
Yeah, I mean, I can go ahead and take it unless Ryan is really itching to talk. But so really another thing, and actually Ryan and I were talking about this, is we'd love to get more engagement on GitHub and really get those community developers, activate them, have them, jump into our GitHub and start, working on some of the issues, or maybe if they have ideas or they want to see things change. I mean, it's open source, it's decentralized, let's work together. We're building all of the tools that you need for success. So we've got the docs. Ryan has been doing a fantastic job on that. He just recently updated it, added some new sections for mostly CLI, but we'll actually be adding some more tutorials too. So the next tutorials that Ryan's going to be working on is, how to do different proposals. So really governance focused at this point, as far as the docs and everything are concerned, but we're expanding them out. We'd love people to start just visiting the GitHub and checking out the issues and just really getting dirty in there. I mean, it would be really fantastic to see the community leaning in on there. It is your network, so let's build it your way.
Awesome. Fantastic. All right, so this is just a shout out to say, I mean, let's see some community spend proposals.
Yeah, I mean, this is also a slide that I did. I can just briefly talk. Yeah, so I wrote a Medium blog on exactly how to do a community spend proposal. There's 2 different ways of doing it. You can do it via CLI if that's your thing, or Commonwealth actually makes it really easy to just use their user interface, and you can, I mean, it's super easy. It's super easy. So go ahead and check out that Medium blog. There's over 2.5 million regen available. So yeah, check it out, go grab it, do some wonderful stuff.
Wait, so you can publish a proposal straight from Commonwealth?
You can do a text proposal and you can do a community spend proposal right from Commonwealth.
Whoa,
Yep.
my mind is blown. That's
Yeah,
so
it's pretty
amazing.
awesome. Yep.
Super cool. No more CLI. Wow, good job, Commonwealth team.
Yeah.
So I just want to shout out while we have the Cambium guys here. I think it would be super cool to think about a quadratic funding pool. And I know that this has been talked about in Open Team. I know the foundation has been talking about it, but I think it would just be really cool to have a proposal about allocating some of this community pool to actually deploy either a Go module or a COSM-WASM contract that allows us to have a quadratic matching pool so that we could start doing like annual or quarterly rounds, like grant rounds that are just matched by the community pool, essentially. Sort of like GitHub does. And I think, Gitcoin does. And I think we could probably integrate with them. They're actually going to be integrating atoms and maybe even other IBC assets into Gitcoin rounds, which is cool. So anyway, there's something really interesting there that is like, I think, worthwhile. There's a lot of other things as well, but I think that would really spur people to be using it more, because it's sort of a democratized, like, hey, we want 10 different proposals to get matching funding, and we'll do on-chain voting about that, and people can start using their region to allocate to the kind of development or work that they want to see. So it's sort of like lots of signal can be captured in some way. So anyway, that's just an idea that I have. Okay, so I want to take a moment to just give everybody sort of like the full interchain carbon update. In our slideshow here, I forgot to put first, like, yay, congratulations, we passed the one of the highest turnout and the definitely least controversial osmosis community spend proposal in the history of osmosis. The community is behind launching a carbon market on osmosis in partnership with Regen, so that's really exciting. Okay, so that aside, let me just see, how did I put this? So the big takeaway here is, and sorry, there's a lot of text here and it's in the strange order, I feel like. So we're going to wait, as was discussed in that on-chain proposal on osmosis, we're going to wait to deploy that liquidity pool until there's a bridge with Polygon, so that we can ensure capital efficiency between two markets for this asset, because we don't want to artificially inflate the price on osmosis and in the interchain with liquidity mining incentives, and then only allow arbitrage amongst those who are highly technically competent and have lots of money. So we want there to be public access to market efficiency and moving these in-CT assets across chain, right? This is really important to everybody who's involved. And so we're holding off on the launch of this asset publicly. In the meantime, if people would like to offset validators or move through, we're going to start to do community proposals on Cosmos Hub, on Stargaze, on other networks, and we can do over-the-counter command line interface sort of transfer and retirement of these carbon assets, sort of in the old-fashioned over-the-counter way. And we're going to sell them basically at our cost basis, which is lower than the cost currently on osmosis or on Polygon. Higher than the price currently on Polygon, but lower than the price has fluctuated. So there's been enough volatility that it's sort of in the middle of that volatility band. We are going to ask for a minimum commitment, although maybe we can be flexible, just because there's a lot of multi-sigs and operations, and we just have a lot going on. So we want to kind of do a few big chunks. So if people want to collaborate and maybe go in together and get a bigger chunk, that's a cool option. But we just sort of need to coordinate, because otherwise we won't have the attention and time to be working on the bridge and working on the other technical pieces that need to be deployed for this to really come to fruition. Okay, so as I said, the real goal here, we really want to avoid like pumping up NCT in an unsustainable way. We want it to be reflective of the price of carbon, and we want to be driving larger carbon demand for these assets. So that's why we're holding off. Like, we don't want, it's like a classic move in the crypto space to sort of like be like, hey, there's a really limited supply and we're generating lots of demand for it. Actually, that's not what we want to do here. That's counterproductive for this like larger goals that we have, right? So that's why we're being sort of conservative in the launch. I know everybody's hyped about it, and we're going to continue building momentum around this. And again, I think there's a moment right now for communities, members who are really interested to help participate bootstrapping and building liquidity in nature carbon tons and sort of prepare for the larger launch that's going to take place. So, and just a note, we're continuing to collaborate really closely with Osmosis and Toucan, and we've been having lots of conversations with Axelar as most likely the preferred permissionless bridge solution, mostly because they are willing to and already had decided to prioritize some of the features that we need specifically for bridging carbon assets, which need to come with functionality. It's not just a fully fungible token. These tokens have to come with retirement functionality, and that's not something that's on most people's roadmaps as far as bridges are, but Axelar, that kind of thing is actually in their roadmap. So we'll be starting with a more custodial bridge solution to just get this going. Current estimation is early May, which I would note, knock on wood, and disclaimers about testing and all of the rest of it, is also similar to what we're shooting for Regen Ledger 4.0. So we may have a scenario in which NCT and our marketplace interfaces and all sorts of other cool things are sort of like converging in a really exciting launch. But we want to keep building these out, and we'll be transparent. We'll keep updating people here, and all the disclaimers about this requires testing, and there's sort of like a complex series of events, and there's multiple stakeholders involved: Osmosis, Toucan, us collaborating together. So don't want to make promises we can't keep. Okay, so governance, just brief governance update. Prop 10 is in active voting. This is about shortening the governance window from 14 days to 7 days. Go vote if you haven't already. Probably most people on the call have already voted. If not, it's always useful to get the voting signal earlier. And if there's dissonance, have those conversations. And just an update around Osmosis Prop 176 that they voted. I think they're the first decentralized community, first protocol at a protocol level to vote to offset themselves, not have like the foundation or the core team just purchase some offsets and make a PR release about it. So that the community participated in this, and also natively on-chain credits. So this is a first, very exciting. And then 182 was them purchasing 100,000 NCT to be initial liquidity providers for this pool, which is also super exciting. There's 3 important discussions going on in Commonwealth. One, maybe I'll get a hand it over to Will to discuss briefly, is around upgrading our token economics to incentivize liquidity. The second is sort of a kind of competing approach to our token economic upgrade that Robert put up. And the third is a discussion about supporting a community member who lost their private keys, I think, or somehow lost access to their wallet. And all 3 are important and very different, or I guess 2 of these are similar, different approaches. And the third is more like, hey, what do we do as a community if something like this happens? Do we want to take responsibility for that or not? There's an open conversation about that. And if we do want to take responsibility, how do we do that in the best possible way, etc. Will, do you want to add anything about the LP incentivization forum post there?
Sure, yeah, I presented about this here before. but the basic idea here is thinking about the economic building blocks for the success of Regen Network. And Gregory and I articulated a lot about this in the economics paper that we had published a couple of years ago. But the basics being, the first thing you incentivize is things to increase network security. So you have a proof of stake token and you compensate people who stake their tokens and who operate validators. My proposal here is to have the next layer of incentivization be LP incentives. This being because the main way people can access the Regen token is on DEXs. The more liquidity there is on those DEXs, the less price volatility and less slippage and more efficient trades people can have. So this is sort of a layer 2 of tokenomics. And then I think there's a huge range of kind of the third layer up, both on the kind of what we can do with eco credits, as well as being able to incentivize other contributions to the network. So I don't see my proposal as much competing with the one that Robert has below as just being something that's simpler and could come first. And I see Robert's being kind of more complex and things that we could implement in years to come.
Yeah, although he might disagree with that, because I think the complexity of a protocol level LP incentivization has to do with interchain accounts and a set of other technically challenging implementation details, whereas I think his relies more on sort of a, like allocating to sub addresses that then are managed by, a group's account or something else like that, that is maybe technically easier to implement. But anyway, so there's a conversation there. Dig in, share your opinions. I think everybody's sort of trending in a similar direction, although maybe there's some divergence in how Robert and Will are thinking about liquidity. There were some really cool ideas in that forum post around actually like Regen as a protocol owning liquidity and providing it instead of incentivizing it. There's something really interesting there that I think that's worth talking about. And as always, there's this balance between its implementation details and its sort of effective results in the sort of political economic sense. So
I'm just seeing a question from Paul in the chat here around osmosis superfluid staking. And I guess the short of it is that superfluid is relevant on DEXs, but liquid staking is relevant in other like there Quicksilver is one liquid staking where you stake your tokens, you get a derivative, you can do other things with it. So from what I know, based on our tokenomics, we wouldn't be implementing superfluid, but we could implement liquid at some point.
I think I'm going to advocate strongly for us to at least start testing liquid staking in test nets and whatnot alongside Quicksilver, and modeling and playing around with how that could work and how it could create interesting efficiencies and incentives in different ways. And I think there's some really nice ways to sort of like create a virtuous economic cycle. So I think we should be exploring that. I do think there is potentially a crazy world in which both of them do exist on Regen Ledger, if and when we, and maybe never lands on Regen Ledger, but there is a world in which our order book DEX fuses and has relationship with AMM liquidity pools for certain pairs, because it's not a completely either or thing. And so our team has been talking about that, and I believe that would most likely be an integration with osmosis and an interchain accounts thing. And maybe in that scenario, you'd see sort of a super fluid scenario in which Regen and like NCT or whatever are integrated on the AMM through Regen's marketplace. And anyway, there's some scenarios in which something like that could happen, but there's both technical complexity as well as sort of economic and governance complexity to work through how that gets deployed and in what scenarios. So, okay, reminder, Regenerati News Hour, it's been super fun. Last week, it's always a little bit emergent, which by that I mean last minute, but last week we had a really fun conversation about the data module and an approach to ecological data. Had some great participation, really a live conversation amongst community members who hadn't necessarily gotten to talk before, and we were doing it in public. It was really fun, and I really like doing it that way, actually. Have a quick look at the market liquidity report. I won't spend too much time on this. We've had a nice healthy bump of engagement around NCT launch. And I think as we roll out Regen Ledger 4 and NCT really becomes an asset in the interchain, I'm excited about how that's driving engagement and sort of health on the market side. And just thought this would be fun to share with everybody. There's been a lot of cool creativity and gifting of art and memes in the Discord channel and on Twitter. Super fun. And this is only some of it that's been sort of like swirling around. So I myself am pretty excited about the potential of NFT art curation, gallery fusion with the eco credit stuff. So stay tuned. And with that, I'm going to just check in on the time. We're probably way over our, we're we're at the end of the hour. Anybody
we did
have
not
any,
do good.
Yeah, we did not do good. Anybody have any quick questions or comments out there that they like to share, or important news? Cool. Well, hopefully this has been useful, kind of going over the major bits of news in the ecosystem. If you have feedback for what these calls look and feel like, please feel free to share. And have a beautiful week, everybody, or beautiful 2 weeks until this call, and probably see all of you in different venues over the rest of the week and next. So yeah, ciao, everybody.
Bye. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.